Hi everyone, I'm TBelle, your philosopher, and I'm going to talk about trying new things, no matter how much they scare or confuse you. By which I mean anime. My introduction to the culture of anime was not particularly positive. In high school, the girl who explained it to me was probably not the best representative of all Japan had to offer. She was an overexcited, borderline hikikomori otaku, with little sense of tact, who tried to describe to me how a Japanese fire demon watched her sleep and kept away the bad dreams. At church camp, no less. Surprisingly, I was not intrigued. I kept a respectable distance from the medium in high school and college, building my geek cred in other areas. Sophomore year, I roomed with a couple good friends. They were relatable, empathetic, smart, snarky even, and they were anime fans. My otaku prejudice was shattered. In the process of breaking my brain, my awesome roommates introduced me to anime that was not completely ridiculous or alienating. I've compiled a list of my favorite titles from that initial introduction. They serve as good anime gateway drugs for those who, like me, aren't that interested in being immersed in the culture. I present to you the top 11 anime for the otaku light. Why 11? The Miyazaki ninjas wouldn't let me narrow it down any further. Number 11.
Metropolis is a 2001 feature based loosely off Osamu Tezuka's manga, based even more loosely off Fritz Lang's film of the same name.
The character design seems childish due to Tezuka's influence, but the film's themes and tone are decidedly mature.
Scientists and mad politicians attempt to make a perfect replicant in the form of a nude 12-year-old girl to control the city. The poor child is alienated from her purpose early on, then introduced to the dogged protagonist in some serious class warfare.
To say baby Gladys makes her parakeet-headed daddy regret his megalomania is an understatement. Metropolis makes a good gateway anime because it has a story I could easily see in Hollywood.
But it wouldn't have the same emotional weight as when Tima's big anime ads survey her damage.
So congratulations to Metropolis, our number 11. Number 10, Gurren Lagann.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
Land sakes almighty, have I ever seen so much testosterone in animation in all my born days. Made by Studio Gainax, Gurren Lagann is a whirlwind of a series about a group of humans who break out of their underground community and use giant mecha to fight the Beastmen, their arch-enemies. Force of Will acts as the gasoline for the series. Literally, as in bravado and blind determination are actually powering the mecha. And it's also what draws in the big bad to come flying in from space. It has a great Manifest Destiny theme going for it. The whole series has this question of just how far you can push progress before it becomes destructive, or how far you can chase freedom before realizing how much it costs. The beginning of the series is interesting in that when we meet our characters, no one has any idea what they're doing. Not that any of them care. Coming up. Also, in some of the characterization, it's very obvious that this was made for boys entering puberty. Yoko. But the blatant fan service usually adds to the humor rather than be annoying. For a fun Saturday morning or Tuesday night, I suggest Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Number 9. There are always a few titles that come to everyone's mind when the word anime is mentioned. Trigun is mine. It's the essential anime.
It has gunslingers, fast-paced action, silly humor, creepy villains, pretty boys, complex philosophical issues, and mind-boggling sci-fi.
Produced in 1998, the art and style still holds up with its more contemporary brothers. Sure, the first half of the series is extremely silly and comedy-oriented, only to make sure your brain suffers major whiplash when the story gets dark, complicated, and scary, but that was part of it. You already knew and loved the protagonists by the time the real crap hit the fan, so you cared about them. It's fun, it's challenging, it's dusty. It's Trigun, number 9. Number 8, Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's gets here mainly on the merit of it being my first Miyazaki. I watched it every day of the rental in high school, back when I didn't like anime, because it was just that good.
It's a very English fairy tale, with a plucky heroine, mysterious employer, and devious witch. Lauren Bacall, you sly fox you.
There are a great many changes from Diana Wynne Jones' original novel. Quite a surprise when I read the darn thing.
Including a slightly Anvilicious war to keep the protagonist's threat levels high.
However, changes do help streamline the originally more episodic story. The animation is predictably great, and the dubbed voice talent is fun. See if you can hear Batman when Hal goes all werecrow.
That is ancient sorcery. And quite powerful, too.
Number 7. Anime somehow has this ability to combine a trippy art house film with a smooth, charismatic action flick. Take on King, directed by American Michael Arias in 2007, is just that.
The story is about two orphan brothers living on the streets in the declining city of Treasure Town. Sure, they fight Yakuza and aliens and some existential eldritch demon,
but it's really about the relationship between the brothers and how each protects the other. There are several points when you have no idea what's happening. That's the other running theme in anime.
The art style that Studio 4C employs is different, almost sketchy.
And that's a real trip if your prior anime exposure is Sailor Moon or Digimon. This is definitely something to watch with your brain turned on, and possibly a more anime-literate friend beside you, but it's worth the watch nonetheless. Number 6. Kalas. Kalas is a true fairy story in the fact that the fairies can kill you in horrible, horrible ways. Do not talk to these guys. Do not interact with these guys. When you see weird stuff happening, run the other freaking way. It's a unique twist that these are old-school fair folk attempting to adapt to the modern world. Quite similar to American Gods in that respect. Only, Japan-flavored. Then there's Kalas, the armor-clad defender of both humanity and yokai, guided by the anthropomorphic representation of the city, who is a cat girl. The characters are interesting, and you'll be rooting for someone to live to the denouement. If you've ever seen Pan's Labyrinth, you understand how horrifying and disturbing the fantasy genre can be. Kalas is the same way and has some real terrifying moments, usually due to the villains who bubbled up from the ectoplasmic goo of nightmares. The less said about the spider lady, the better. If you're interested in the dark underbelly to a Miyazaki fantasy, Kalas is certainly worth a try. Speaking of Miyazaki, number 5 is the sweeping epic that is Princess Mononoke. Most interesting is that there really isn't a clear bad guy among the characters. Most of the conflict comes from one side refusing to see the perspective of the other. This is how adults act, kiddies, take note. In that respect, the story is very realistic and human, counterbalancing the fantasy elements and classic hero's journey. The Miyazaki demon blobs, terrifying in any circumstance, are exceptionally scary here. Also, the fact that Neil freaking Gaiman did the script to the dub counts a few brownie points in its favor. A strong, timeless story steeped in intrigue and ambiguity, Princess Mononoke makes a good number 5. Number 4. Steam Boy. Steampunk. Pure, unadulterated, unapologetic steampunk.
This 2004 venture of Studio 4C beautifully displays England of the Industrial Revolution, with extra fantabulous machines thrown in for free.
Young inventor / factory monkey Ray Steam must solve the mystery of his father and grandfather's disappearance
while keeping strange technology from the Victorian MIB.
Also, Robert Louis Stevenson is this story's answer to Mycroft Holmes. Science, progress, romanticism, and politics clash at the World's Fair. Whiny Scarlett O'Hara can be grating at times, but her character development's good. The other characters are interesting, and it's really impressive how well they caught the attitude of England at the time. The style is almost hyper-realistic, adding needed weight to all the machines. If you have any love for airships and adventures, Steam Boy is an excellent choice. Number 3. Paprika. Chris Nolan has stated that this feature was a partial inspiration for Inception. Still need to see that. That should be enough of a warning that your mind will be dragged to strange, wonderful places. Directed by the late anime prince Satoshi Kon in 2006,
Paprika is about the titular perky dream therapist and her police detective patient.
Also, the dream world is taking over the minds of people, trapping them in a Technicolor parade straight from Uncanny Valley. Word of note, Satoshi Kon often infused his work with social commentary on modern Japan, and modern Japanese society can be extremely pervy. Definitely not the best choice for the kiddies. However, Paprika is a thrilling roller coaster with catching music, enthralling animation, and a thought-provoking story. It's worth a ride, as the tagline says. This is your brain on anime. Number 2, Ergo Proxy. If you thought Paprika was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's hard to even put the story into concise words without veering into spoiler territory or sounding insane. It's set in this post-apocalyptic future with dome cities looking like a cross between the work of Aldous Huxley and Ray Bradbury. There's also mad robots, monsters, telepathic assaults, and complex philosophy illusions. See it all the way through? All the way through? Otherwise, you will be sitting on your couch wearing a blank expression, feeling as if the show has violated your brain, then pressure washed it with bleach to eradicate evidence. Although once everything comes together at the end, all that came before makes more sense. M. Night Shyamalan wishes he could pull this stuff off. Ergo Proxy may be the most cerebral anime ever produced. One for the big kids, Ergo Proxy comes in a strong number 2. Number 1. Spirited Away. I know this baby makes it to the top of quite a few lists, but only because it deserves to be there. The fantastical coming of age for young Chihiro once again exemplifies a true fairy story. There's the whimsy and wonder of moving castle tossed in with all the old-fashioned threat of kara. Eating the food the fairies captures you, but the girl can use her wits and good manners to find a solution. You can tell everyone on the production team was giving it their best. The dub is spot on casting-wise and doesn't resort to stunt voices. The story is clean and the visuals are stunningly immersive. I believe Chihiro is a little brat at the beginning and believe her transformation throughout the film. All the characters are interesting, something I didn't think possible. Everyone seems to be waltzing in from their own story and we are left dangling for more information. Spirited Away is this encapsulated pearl of wonder that makes a perfect introduction to film in general, let alone anime. So, the giant boogeyman of anime is more of a soot sprite. Some stories are timeless enough not to need immersion into the world of a magical girl or mons to appreciate them. Some themes transcend culture and all we have to do is be receptive. Oh yeah, I saw that high school otaku friend at con a year or so back. I out-Japanesed her by accident. I'm TBelle, your Philosophan. If you enjoyed, thanks for listening. If you didn't, I look forward to your flames. Sayonara!